104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. We're now joined by our friend Kelly O'Donnell. He was on the call last night as the Siena Saints upset the Iona Gaels. And Kelly, I mean, how'd they get it done? What? This wasn't supposed to be a winnable game, right?
No, it was not supposed to look anything like that. You know, if Siena was going to win, they were going to win by scoring, 57 points. Iona was going to score 56 points. But to expect that Siena would get to 82, the first time, they've gone over 80 in conference season. They hadn't touched 70 in a month, and they were going to knock off the two-time defending champion, the preseason number one. No, that did not follow script, but it was a fun game to call. It was an awesome game to watch.
Was it one player in particular that got hot and helped the Saints win it?
In overtime, yeah, Evan Fisher was the star. He was 5 for 5 from the floor in the first half. Didn't do much in the second half. In fact, didn't score a point in the second half. And all of a sudden, the overtime period started, and the most veteran player on the team just took the Saints on his shoulders and led him to victory. He scored, tied a career high with 21 points, 10 of those in the overtime session. So he finished with 21, 9 rebounds, was just a board shy of his first career double-double. Incredibly impressive. But throughout the game, it was Fisher, it was Khalil Richard, career high, 22 points. Jordan Horn, 18 points. Prince Aduro, 12. This is a team that doesn't have a player averaging in double figures, and they had 4 guys in double figures, including Richard and Fisher, go over 20.
Kelly O'Donnell is right now on 104.5 Team. So, Kelly, is this a sign of things to come or a fluke? What do you think after watching it?
Siena plays very well at the Times Union Center. Not historically against Iona. That was the one team that had their, in fact, the Gaels had won 8 straight games over Siena in Albany. However, typically, Siena plays well in this building no matter what the circumstances are, which always bodes well when you get closer to the conference tournament. So, despite the fact that Siena has struggled on the road this season, just 1 victory, none in conference, the MAC tournament's at the Times Union Center on South Pearl Street, so they proved to themselves, and that's really what matters more than anything, they proved to themselves that they can beat anybody at home. Whether that's going to translate to a run in March, we'll see, but they certainly made a lot of believers last night.
Now, Kelly, you just brought up something. We were talking to Rich Enser yesterday, the MAC commissioner, and that's what all the other teams are crying about, is that Siena plays so well at home. Do you think it's fair that they start moving the tournament around?
It's funny. Coach Patsos in practice 2 days ago, Sunday morning, he said, why would Iona or Manhattan cry about it? They're winning championships left and right at the Times Union Center. Certainly Siena had their glory winning 3 in a row from 08 to 2010. But after that, Iona and Manhattan certainly had their celebrations as they've gone dancing from the Times Union Center as of late. So is there an inherent advantage for Siena having the tournament at Albany? Yeah, of course there is. Is it enough to take the tournament out of Albany? I don't think so, just because of what the tournament has done when it's been here. The numbers are up, the exposure is up, the interest is up. There's a lot that the Times Union Center and the capital region of basketball fans in this market can bring to this tournament that we just haven't seen replicated elsewhere. They've certainly tried. Again, I understand the gripe, but I still think it belongs in Albany.
I definitely agree with you, too, and I think one of the most exciting parts about it, at least in this year's conference tournament, is that I can't find a majority favorite. I can't find somebody who's going to run the table. Right. And last night especially, I look at a team like Iona and say, hey, they won it back-to-back years. They could be the favorite when March rolls around. But watching their performance last night, have all of a sudden the Gaels dipped off? And have you been able to figure out the favorite in the MAC so far?
Yeah, well, it's tough, and we kind of had a feeling that would be the sense before conference play even started, that there wasn't a clear-cut favorite. It was just kind of Iona by default, preseason number one, but they lost Jordan Washington, who was a star player last year, and you felt like maybe they'd be a little bit down. 10-5 in the conference now after last night's loss, so certainly in the upper echelon, along with Ryder, along with Canisius. Canisius is a team that Siena has already beaten at the Times Union Center, and then the Saints got blown out in Western New York a week ago. And then there's the Bronx that Siena hasn't had a chance to measure itself up against yet, but will on Thursday when they play at Ryder, the only time they're facing Ryder this season, working the schedule this year where they're not playing every team twice. So I still think it's those 3 teams, Ryder, Canisius, and Iona, but there isn't one team that stands out as being, the team that you would be most scared of heading in the conference tournament.
No, maybe I'm going to get yelled at for this because maybe I buried the lead, but better post-game antic by Jimmy Patsos, the invisible handshake against Ryder or the taking over the post-game press conference from poor Marissa Jacks last night?
Yeah, well, she just got to call it quits early last night. That's all. I can't imagine she was complaining about it. Of course, as you guys know, I teach journalism courses, and rule number one when you're doing an interview is you hold on to that mic tight. You don't relinquish it. Nobody's allowed to take your mic from you, of course. If Coach Bastos was trying to grab it from me, too, I don't think I would have fought back. To answer your question, though, I've got to go handshake line. That's still classic. That got so much play nationally, Sports Center, Top 10, and everything else. But the interview with Evan last night was pretty great.
Kelly O'Donnell with us now. Kelly, I also think he buried the lead with, what do you think is more important, the MAC tournament or the Mac and Cheese Fest?
All right. Now we're getting into the important stuff. Now I know why you guys called me. Yeah, and I love getting mac and cheese, too. When I'm up at the track, they've got the mac and cheese truck there, and they've got so many different options to choose from. I like the buffalo chicken mac and cheese a lot.
Goz is drooling. He's legitimately
That's my go-to, too, man. I see, what I do at the track, and Levack knows this, I don't go and get the mac and cheese truck until I win a race. So it's like a reward for me.
So he hasn't had it in like 2 years. So
I like that. See, I don't have the discipline to do that. I'd never eat.
Hell no, I'm all about the mac and cheese. Kelly, we're going to be there for the first couple of days of the MAC tournament. We are going to be around pretty much the rest of the season. So we look forward to running into you either planned or accidentally. We miss having you around every day, man.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it as well. A lot of good basketball left this season.